Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are looking at something, well, honestly, it's truly fascinating. We're going to take one of the most famous ancient texts in the world, the Bhagavad Gita, and actually use it as a highly practical, step-by-step toolkit for discovering your ultimate inner guide. If you've ever, struggled to identify your own inner voice through the constant noise of daily life, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our step-by-step roadmap for today's explainer. First, the cosmic chariot driver. 2. Decoding your higher self. 3. The chariot metaphor explained. 4. Recognizing your inner voice. And finally, number 5, a daily inner voice meditation.
All right, part 1, the cosmic chariot driver. Let's kick things off with a bit of a paradox that really sets the stage for our first step. In the Gita, Krishna, literally the supreme being of the universe, shows up to this massive epic battlefield. But not as a warrior, no. He shows up as a chariot driver. No weapons, no armor. He's simply waiting for his passenger to be ready to listen. It really makes you stop and think, right? Why on earth would God choose to be a driver? Well, that one strange, beautiful choice actually contains the whole core teaching we're exploring today.
To really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at how Krishna is identified. We use the word avatar all the time today, right? Like for profile pictures or video game characters, but the true original Sanskrit meaning comes from avatara, which actually means a descent, a coming down. It's this beautiful idea of divine consciousness voluntarily taking human form to restore balance whenever the world gets overwhelmed by darkness.
And this is perfectly captured in one of the text's most famous verses. Notice that phrase right there, I am born age after age. This tells us that this divine message doesn't just appear once and disappear. A lot of spiritual teachers point out this exact concept. The divine appears in every age, in every civilization, carrying the exact same message, which is to return to your true self.
Moving right along to part 2, decoding your higher self.
So, stepping away from the historical myth for a second, we reach the next step in our guide, which is honestly the most profound psychological revelation of this material. And this brilliantly illustrates how these two main figures actually represent parts of our own psychology. Arjuna represents your ego. That's the fearful, attached, overthinking, and frankly confused human self. Krishna, on the other hand, represents the Atman, your deep inner self that is totally calm, wise, and clear as a bell. Have you ever made a decision that looked absolutely perfect on paper, but a quiet little voice inside kept saying, nope, this is wrong? Well, that is the inner witness we're trying to identify.
Which brings us to part 3, the chariot metaphor explained.
This is where the framework becomes a totally practical map for your internal landscape. Imagine a chariot. In this metaphor, that chariot is your physical body. The horses pulling it, those are your senses. They're always reacting, always pulling you in a million different directions based on what they see, hear, or instantly want. The road you're traveling is your life path, and the driver holding the reins, that is your higher self. If the horses are in charge, well, your life is going to be chaos. But your higher self is sitting there quietly, just waiting for you to hand over the reins and ask for directions.
Which naturally leads us to this incredibly beautiful verse from chapter 18. Situated in everyone's heart. I mean, this is the deepest secret we're uncovering today. Your ultimate guide, your highest wisdom, it isn't waiting on a mountaintop or hidden away in some ancient temple. It is the innermost awareness right within you. It's always present, it's always available, and it's literally just waiting to be heard.
All right, let's get into part 4, recognizing your inner voice.
So, with all the stress and the crazy daily chaos bouncing around inside our heads, how do we actually recognize which voice is the right one? Well, here is the absolute key. True wisdom cannot be imposed. It can only be invited. Your highest self does not scream at you, it doesn't shame you, and it certainly won't force you to act out of panic. It whispers. It's endlessly patient, kind of just holding the space for you to find your own clarity.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the multi-dimensional way this inner voice can guide us. It isn't just one single note. Sometimes it acts as a friend, speaking to you with deep personal love and understanding. Sometimes it's the teacher, gently leading you out of confusion. Other times it's the strategist, offering highly practical real-world wisdom. Or maybe the mystic, reminding you of your connection to the vast universe. Oh, and of course, the self. Your inner voice taps into all of these dimensions depending on exactly what you need in that very moment.
In this passage, pay special attention to the very last word there, forgetfulness. I love this part. It means even our moments of confusion, our total breakdowns, our biggest mistakes, they're all part of the process. Every single experience comes from within and is a totally necessary part of the journey toward truly knowing yourself. You don't have to be some perfect, enlightened being to access this wisdom. You really just have to be willing to listen.
And that brings us to our final section, Part 5, Daily Inner Voice Meditation.
We've covered a whole lot of deep philosophy today, so the crucial point is to translate all of this into a concrete daily habit. Here's a super simple 3-step practice that I highly encourage you to try sometime in the next 24 hours. Step 1, pause for just 1 full minute of silence to let the mind settle down. Step 2, ask that inner guide for direction. And Step 3, listen for the calmest, wisest answer. If the answer you get is rooted in fear, ego, or what you think you should do, well, that's just those horses pulling the chariot again. You are listening for the quiet, steady voice that's actually holding the reins.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this one provocative question to carry with you today. When you finally put down the weapons, step off the chaotic battlefield of your busy mind, and just sit in pure silence, what does your inner guide actually sound like? Try the practice out, listen closely, and find out for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible material, and I truly hope this helps you hand the reins over to your highest self.